So good evening, everybody. Good evening, Instafarm. How you guys doing? How was today? I am Tokwe A. Apotive. I'm a women's health coach and a fibroid therapist, and I'm a pharmacist, by the way. So how you guys doing? How was today? So this series is about fibroids. We want to liberate women from the stronghold of fibroid. Really, it's very important because fibroid seems to be ravaging a lot of black women, African American women, women of African descent, and there are actually secrets to ending this whole fibroid conundrum. Yes, you don't necessarily have to go through surgery in most cases, and you don't have to wait and see for it to get so large to the point of needing medical interventions. And that is part of why we are bringing this, okay? We are bringing this to the forefront so that... So last week, I spoke about the causes of fibroids, okay? And today I'm going to be talking about the triggers of fibroids. What are the things that trigger the growth of fibroids? I like to call them fibroid fuels. So what are the things that fuel fibroid growth? What are the things that fuel fibroid growth? So those are the things we're going to be talking about today. So if you know any woman who needs this, please holler at her, tag her, let her come and join this live video and learn and ask her questions also, so that she will not have to pay for consultation. Consultation, she'll pay money. All right, so she can get this FOC free of charge. So we're going to be talking about fibroid triggers, but let me just quickly talk about what I said last week, because I was unable to save that video, unfortunately. So there's no replay for that. Hopefully there should be a replay for today's one. Right, so last week I spoke about the causes of fibroid. Basically, the underlying factor is hormonal imbalance, a particular hormonal imbalance called estrogen dominance. That is actually what promotes fibroid growth. Okay, that's actually what is at the root of it. And until you correct that, it will be difficult to keep fibroids away, which is why surgery alone is not enough. Okay, and it requires a holistic approach for you to actually address it. So the root cause, one of the major root causes, is hormonal imbalance, the hormonal imbalance called estrogen dominance. Can you hear me? David, can you hear me, please? Let me be sure that ahead, right? So basically it is hormonal imbalance. Okay, so anything that has to do with not being able to process, the body not being able to maybe produce adequate levels of the estrogen hormone, or not being able to metabolize it, break it down properly, or breaking it down in the wrong way to release the wrong byproducts that are now problematic, fueling all these growths, because they are usually more potent and they cause a lot of unnecessary or unneeded reactions to the body. Okay. Today we are going to be looking at the fibroid triggers. What are the things that trigger the growth of fibroid? What are the things that promote this hormonal imbalance, this estrogen dominance? What are the things? So without wasting time, I just dive straight, okay, to it. So what are the fibroid triggers? What are the things that fuel the growth of fibroids? So number one is the wrong kinds of food. If you're eating junk foods, so what's a junk food? Let's break it down, all right, to make it easier for you to understand. If you're eating processed oils are very inflammatory. Most processed oils, yes. So your soya oil, in fact, I grew up eating soya oil. You can just imagine. And that just, I didn't know what it was doing underneath until, boom, I get the fibroid diagnosis, Now, not to say that only soy oil caused me to have fibroid, but many other factors, but soy oil is one of those factors, all right? So if you're eating processed oils, your corn oil, canola oil, soy oil, soya oil, those are oils you want to do away with as much as possible. Eat healthier oils. I have a guide, the Healthy Diet Guide. It will guide you on what you should be eating and what you should avoid, what you should stay away from. So you don't want to be eating processed oils and wrong fats to bad fats like trans fat. And most processed foods, most processed and packaged foods contain trans fat. That's one of the things that keeps the product in a stable condition so that it doesn't get spoiled easily. But unfortunately, it's bad for your health. It promotes inflammation. Okay, so you don't want that. Like margarine, they say margarine is better than butter, but that's not true. Science has shown us that it is not true. Margarine is counterproductive. It is not good for your health. So you want to avoid margarine. You want to avoid such fats. Those foods from fast food, most of the fast food, they contain unhealthy oil. So you want to avoid avoid processed fats, processed oils. You want to avoid them. Sugar, refined sugar, that's another food you want to avoid. So those are unhealthy foods you want to avoid. Sugar weakens your immune system. Sugar causes inflammation. Sugar depletes your body of nutrients. You can just imagine. So you don't want to be eating sugar, refined sugar. You can eat sugar from natural sources, like from your fruits, whole fruits, your vegetables, your real food, whole food. You can eat sugar from such, but not refined sugar. Refined sugar promotes inflammation. So you want to stay away from refined sugar, whether it is white sugar, whether it is brown sugar. As long as it is refined sugar, you want to stay away from it. Also, you want to stay away from artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners are among those that promotes inflammation and promote the growth of fibroids. So you want to avoid all of that. Also, you want to avoid dairy. Yes, I know you love your yogurts, you love your milk and all that. I mean, almost everybody takes milk every day, right? Well, that's what the industry has trained us to do. But really, you can eat without all of that, or you use substitutes with healthy alternatives. Maybe in future episodes, I'll be talking about the alternatives. But if you use my healthy diet guide, that already guides you on everything about the kinds of food you should eat and what you should not be eating. All right. So if you go to my website, topeakpotive.com//freebies, you get access to the healthy diet guide. So it guides you on what you should eliminate from your diet and what you should be eating. Okay. So I've mentioned processed oils and unhealthy fats, trans fats. I've mentioned what again? Sugar and artificial sweeteners. Okay. Now another thing you want to avoid is processed meats. Yes, your shawarma, they'll put what you call hot dog, right? That is processed meat. So your gala, I'm sorry to mention names. I don't like to mention brand names and all that, but that's what everybody can relate with, right? So you want to avoid those things. Those sausages that they put, those hot dogs that they put in the middle of your burger, in the middle of your sausage and all that, those are unhealthy food. Those cured meats, you want to avoid them. Please avoid them. Beef, those they are packaged beef, corned beef, bacon. Those foods are inflammatory, seriously inflammatory, and they're not even good for your heart, by the way. So you want to avoid those things. Those things promote fibroid growth, so please stay away from them. Caffeine, alcohol, tobacco, if you smoke, those things, you are doing a whole lot of damage to your body when you take those things. Those things just make your body to not be able to properly metabolize or break down estrogen, and so your body will be producing the wrong kinds of byproducts, which now fuel the growth of the fibroids, causing a whole lot of trouble in the body. If you do not even check this thing, it actually could progress to cancer, which is why it's not okay that somebody might be thinking, okay, it's just the growths are very small, so the doctor says it's not a big deal. But if you continue with the lifestyle, that's what it can generate into. It can degenerate into or progress into cancer, breast cancer, endometrial cancer, and all those things. And that is not what I want for any woman, right? So please, you want to stay away from such. Okay, so stay away from alcohol, stay away from caffeine, stay away from tobacco, stay away from refined sugar, and all of those. Then another thing, you want to stay away from white flour products, refined flour products. Stay away from them. I know, like almost in every home, bread is like their staples. That is like a standard breakfast, but that is not healthy. It is not. It contains gluten that is inflammatory to your digestive tract, and if there's an inflammation in your digestive tract, most likely you're not going to be absorbing the nutrients from your food. Plus, it can promote autoimmune diseases. Yes, so you want to stay away from gluten as much as possible. Case in point, I had a relative that came to stay over with me for some time when I had my baby, and she loved bread, but she was always having respiratory tract issues, always having sneezing, especially early in the morning. She'd be sneezing, having catarrh, her nose was almost never drying, it was always wet, always sneezing and all that. And this issue of bread was something that I had been talking to her about. And then I said, okay, fine, no wala. But I even challenged her. I said, okay, try not eating bread for at least 1 month. And I said that, and I went on with my business, right? I didn't know she actually took up the challenge, and she actually did it. And later she told me by herself that, you know, since I stopped eating bread, I noticed that I've not been having catarrh and all those sneezing. I was like, oh really? You see, you know. And since then she resolves not to eat bread again. If she's going to eat bread now, it has to be maybe cassava bread, but not bread from with flour. Okay, so you can get cassava bread or you get healthier alternatives. Okay, so you want to stay away from flour products, so your sausages, your bread, your pizza and all of that, those foods are not healthy. So those are not the kinds of food you want to be eating. You want to cut out on unhealthy foods. Okay, so that's very important. So that's the number one category of fibroid triggers. Okay, unhealthy foods, junk food. Number two is what you want to guess. Well, toxic chemicals, exposure to synthetic chemicals. So there are a whole lot of them. You know, there's a whole lot. If I want to begin to list them, but I'll just list a few key ones. Your phthalates from most of your synthetic fragrances, artificial fragrances, your roll-ons, your perfumes, your body sprays, most of them contain synthetic fragrances, and those fragrances are high in what we call phthalates. And also your soft plastics, they all contain phthalates. Phthalate is what we call plasticizer. Like if you have all those fast food plastic bowls that they use, you know, for your food, if you're taking it away, it has a high amount of plasticizer. That's what makes it flexible. Okay, now when you microwave that plastic, what happens? You're going to be melting the plastic into your food, and you end up eating the plastic or the plasticizer with your food, unfortunately. So you want to avoid that. Okay, so plasticizer, BPA, you already know about BPA, right? The parabens, the sulfates. All you need to do is check the labels check the ingredient labels of your skincare products, of your perfume or body spray. You see all of these things listed there. So those are things you want to avoid. Rather switch to healthier alternatives. We have people like SBM Natural, FDN Natural that are doing amazing stuff, organic, clean products. You can switch to their brands. Okay, I can endorse SBM products, FDN Natural products too. So you can opt for such instead of using all these products that are loaded with toxic chemicals, you know, that are fueling fibroid growth, because they throw your hormones out of balance. And unfortunately, these chemicals, they mimic the estrogen your body produces, but they are even much more potent than the estrogen that your body produces, and that's where the problem is. So when they get into the body, they would displace the estrogen that your body produces, and they now take over. Okay, they take over the activities of estrogen in those organs of the body, and of course their own they are like slave masters. So they won't even do their own to moderation. They like take the activity like to thousands, raised to power of thousand, you know, and that's why they cause all of these unpleasant effects, you know, and even cancers. So you want to do away with them as much as possible. Okay, then another category of triggers for fibroids that you want to avoid is what? Metalloestrogens. That's your heavy metals. Metalloestrogen is just a big word for it, but heavy metals. Okay, so we have a whole lot of them, quite a number of them, a few of them, not very many though. We have lead. Lead can be in your water pipe, so you need a filter. You need to have a filter attached to your water pipe source, okay, so that the water that ends up into your bowl, your cooking pot and all that is not high in lead. Now also lipsticks, a lot of lipsticks, especially those that last long, contain lead, so you want to be aware of such. You want to opt for healthier ones, safer ones. Then arsenic can actually be in your rice, you know, so you want to be careful the source of your food produce, or your food stuff. It can be in rice, you know, cadmium in coffee, you know, so cadmium, mercury from, if you have a mercury filling, an amalgam filling in your teeth, that one that is really black, yes, there's a high chance that mercury is being released in little doses into your system, and that also will fuel the growth of fibroid and fuel disease, actually, unless you're doing something about it. You're consciously taking action to, you know, prevent those inflammatory effects. Okay, then also you have aluminium. Some people use aluminium to make their someone, please do that instead of that. Or what's going on with my... Okay, am I still on? Okay, yes. Okay, so you want to stay away from aluminum. Don't use aluminum in your cooking, please. Aluminum is toxic. It's a heavy metal that is also toxic to your system, to your cells, to your nerves, and it promotes inflammation, it promotes hormonal imbalance, particularly estrogen dominance. So you want to avoid it because those are the things that trigger fibroid growth. All right. Okay, so those are some of the heavy metals. Now let's also talk about what have I not mentioned? Pesticides. Yes, pesticides. Those are other chemicals we are exposed to. Pesticides, insecticides. Unfortunately, those ones also promote inflammation in the body. They throw the hormones out of balance and they fuel the growth of fibroids. So you want to stay away from them. That includes the insecticide you spray to kill mosquitoes. So go for safer alternatives. Either use the mosquito killer light, the one that is that repels insects, or you use your mosquito nets. You know, look for something that works for you, but avoid these chemicals as much as possible. And maybe use it once in a blue moon, and don't open your doors once it's approaching evening or early hours of the morning. Okay, those are some of the things you can do. So you want to stay away from those chemicals. There are many other triggers. Okay, sulfates, you know, sulfates, your hair relaxer, and most of these creams, you want to stay away from them, which is why the natural hair gang is reigning now, right? So it's better because you reduce the number of chemicals that your body is absorbing. Okay, because when the more of these things you have in your body, the more inflammation you are promoting, and the more you are creating the atmosphere that is right for disease to thrive. So we don't want disease thriving in our bodies, right? Okay, then another thing you want to, there are many other chemicals, but let me just mention a few other ones. MSG in your stock cubes. I don't know what you use as season to enhance the taste of your food. It's common for us in modern times to use seasoning cubes in our cooking, because I mean almost no home can do without using seasoning cubes in our cooking, right? Like even me, it took a lot of courage for me to actually do away with MSG in my cooking, but I'm glad I've been able to do it. You know, I'm still learning the ropes. I've not perfected it, but to a very large extent I have progressed. So that's one thing you want to stay away from, because MSG is toxic to your system and it promotes inflammation. It's not even good for your weight if you want to maintain a good weight, healthy weight. So you want to stay away from MSG. That's monosodium glutamate. Okay, that's what makes your noodles seasoning to taste very nice, you know, and makes people to eat more and more and more than necessary, because it is a it excites the nerves. Okay, it speaks to the pleasure center. It activates the pleasure center of the brain. That's why it has that effect. Right, then what have I not mentioned? Food dyes, preservatives, and all of those things. So the rule is stay as close to nature as possible, because when you look at all of these things I've listed, you see that these things come from what? Exposure to a lot of processed synthetic chemicals, right? A lot of processed foods, a lot of synthetic stuff. So as much as possible, you want to stay close to nature. Let your food be as close to nature as possible. Stay away from chemicalized products as much as possible. Eat clean, eat healthy, eat nutrient-dense foods, your vegetables, your fruits. If you look at my page, you see a lot of things I've spoken about nutrients, about diet, right? Some recommendations like cruciferous vegetables. Those are things that can help you. All right, so I hope with all these things I've mentioned today, you've now been able to understand better the things that have been fueling your fibroid growth. Let me ask you one question before I end this chat, okay? Have you been making your eba, or those in the East call it Gary? Have you been making your eba in plastic bowls? Growing up, we were making eba in plastic bowls. So that was another thing that contributed to my own fibroid, right? You see that there are many factors. So for me, there was soya oil, there was plastic, cooking with plastic, microwave food in plastic. All of those things contributed to my having fibroid. Okay, so I want you to answer the question. If you're catching the replay, please, I want you to comment and let me know. Have you been making your eba in a plastic bowl? If yes, let me know so that we can deliver you from today. All right, so please, from today, stop making eba in plastic bowls. Stop putting hot food in plastics. Okay, use a stainless steel bowl, or use your pot for your eba, or use your, if you're making a drink, hot drink or hot food, use your breakable, your porcelain bowls or porcelain dishes instead of using these plastics. Please save your life, protect your health. We want you to be well. The world needs your gifts, and we need you to be well, to be at your best, so that you can share this awesome gift with the world, and of course be able to live an amazing life. All right, so I hope you have learned something today, and I'll be seeing you next week. Hopefully next week I should be able to create I should be able to have this triggers checklist available for download. But first of all, go and do a quick hormonal imbalance check. All right, if you go to the link in my bio, you see a link to the hormonal imbalance checklist. Go and download it and take the test and know which of your hormones are out of balance. Know whether you have hormonal imbalance or not. If you are a woman who has fibroids, obviously you're going to be having you have hormonal imbalance. I mean, that's why you have fibroids in the first place. It's a sign. It's one of the symptoms or sign of a hormonal imbalance. All right, so I'll be seeing you next week. All right, till I come your way again next week. Stay well, stay good, and please do share this news about how we are sharing on fibroids with a woman who needs this. All right, thank you for listening. I'm talking about Eyakotive, holistic pharmacist, women's health coach, and fibroid therapist. Till I come your way again next week, same time, 4 p.m. Bye.